As you may or may not know, my wife and I just got back from Vegas. It was a great trip. We ate, we drank, we had a blast. But then we got home and looked at the credit card, and I gotta say, it doesn't matter how much fun you're having, $25 for a drink is a ripoff. Frickin' Vegas. I hate getting ripped off, and so do the lads over at Harry's. They spent years watching the razor blade companies rip people off and said, no more. Not all heroes wear capes, my friends, and they want to prove that they're legit by offering you hot dogs a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. I've been telling you about them for months, and I'm genuinely proud to have Harry's as a sponsor of this show. I wasn't kidding. The plastic, futuristic-looking crap razors you get at the store are overpriced and they're poor quality. Harry's blades are crisp, clean, and classy. They're the kind of razor you'd expect your grandpa to have on his bathroom counter. And most importantly, they work. Shave after shave, they're so smooth, they're precise. I used to go through the crappy store blades all the time, but Harry's are built to last. And they're not just better quality than the other names, they're more affordable. And they deliver. Just set your schedule, and for as little as $2, new blades, shaving creams, lotions, everything you need, right to your door when you need it. I genuinely cannot think of a reason not to try Harry's. And I'm not just saying this because they're sponsors. They're the best shaving supplies I've ever used. Try them out, and if you're not happy, your shave's on them. And unlike the other subscriptions, they're really easy to cancel if you want to too, which is a nice bonus, but believe me, you're not going to want to cancel. Getting ripped off isn't funny. Switch to Harry's. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. That's harrys.com/RTG for a $3 trial set. Remember the Game is brought to you by my website, abcomedy.net. As you may or may not know, I'm a comedian by night. And as much as I love talking about old video games, telling jokes is how I actually pay my bills. So please check out my website. In addition to old episodes of this podcast, you'll find my blog, videos of my stand-up, all of my upcoming shows, and my contact information. If you need a comedian for your next fundraiser, corporate event, house party, whatever you got going on, hit me up. Again, it's abcomedy.net. And if you're enjoying the podcast, please subscribe to it. Please leave us a good review. And most importantly, please tell a friend. I'd really appreciate it. There'll be a new episode every single Wednesday. Thank you guys so much for the support. I hope you enjoy the show. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game, my retro gaming podcast, where each week a buddy of mine will come over and the two of us will sit down and nerd out about a game from yesteryear. My name is Adam Blank. Thank you guys so much for coming back for another episode. This week, episode 21, my pal Tyler is back, and we sit down and reminisce about the legendary Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. For everything, like PlayStation and Nintendo 64, really. And we don't just go with 2. We kind of look at the whole Tony Hawk Pro Skater series. 2, I think, is just kind of the one everybody knows best, so that's the one that's on the cover to try to get a couple extra downloads. This one, I decided to go with some actual music because that's what they use for this game, so there is a slight chance this one's going to get taken down. I hope not. I don't think it's big enough or important enough for anyone to pay any attention to it, and I don't make any money off of it, so if by some chance someone from like Papa Roach is listening to this and they don't want their music on my podcast, please let me know and we'll go from there. I think there's far more likely chance that no one's going to even listen. Speaking of listeners, last week was episode 20 and we are creeping up on 1,200 downloads in 20 episodes. And I know that that's not a huge number for a real podcast, but God damn it, that's a pretty big deal to me. So thank all of you guys so much for listening and sharing the word like you guys have been doing. I got a whole bunch of great episodes lined up for you guys with a bunch more scheduled. This thing isn't going to slow down anytime soon. Yeah, video games are the best. Thank you guys for listening. Really, I appreciate it. As far as what I have been playing over the last 7 days, it was Black Friday this last week and Cyber Monday. I hope all of you stocked up. I think I might be the only person in gaming that didn't buy a PS4 this weekend. Everybody else apparently did. Personally, I picked up the Crash Bandicoot re-release, the Insane Trilogy, and I'm almost done the first Crash. And that's a game I need to get on this podcast soon. So if you're listening, and you like Crash, let me know. Let's talk Crash. Pretty fun. it's been a good time. I also went with Dead Cells, little indie game that's on the Switch now, which is fucking awesome. You may know it if you pay attention to gaming news. It was the game that dude Philip Mewson from IGN got caught plagiarizing his review from, and then it kind of became more known for that than it did for the game itself. But it's a roguelike kind of dungeon crawler action game on the Switch. It's fucking rad. I love it. Check it out if you have access to it. I also downloaded The Messenger, another indie on the Switch, and I also decided to cave and pick up Mario Tennis Aces for the Switch because, you guys, I'm a Switch guy now, and it's pretty rad. Good haul. Good, man. Black Friday is the best week to be a gamer. I've been jonesing the last few weeks. I kind of miss my PS4. But I don't want to pick up another one because I play too many goddamn video games as it is. I still have a ton of retro games I want to play to get ready for more episodes of this. Sega has got a big... that's actually, I can't remember if I've mentioned that on here before, but people have brought up that I haven't done any Sega games. I didn't have a Sega growing up, so I don't have a lot of attachment to it. But they have a huge anthology collection coming out next month for Switch. I'm going to pick it up and get some more FaceTime with some more of those games, and I'll get some Sega going on in here in the new year for you guys. Because apparently some of you actually like the Sega Genesis, which is fucking weird, but no, it's fine. That's what I've been playing. I hope you guys all made out great on Black Friday. Cyber Monday, you stocked up. Smash Brothers is a couple of weeks away. Christmas is a couple of months, or like a month away, a couple of months. Christmas is like 4 weeks away, so fucking get after it. And play some video games. That's what the holidays are all about, right? Quickly before I get into the podcast this week, the PlayStation Classic, the PlayStation 1 Classic is coming out in the next week or so here, and the reviews are fucking destroying it, which is kind of what I thought was going to happen. I think a lot of companies are looking at what Nintendo did with the NES and the SNES, and they're trying to cash in. And I feel like the PlayStation could have been something where they did cash in, but it sounds like they half-assed it and cut every single corner they could. So if you've got one on pre-order or if you're planning to pick one up, I'd love to know what you think of it. I won't be. Maybe if I see one on sale for like $30 somewhere down the road, I'll pick one up, but I have no interest in getting it right now as it is. So if you pre-ordered one, maybe do some homework before you pick it up. It might not be worth your save your money. Spend it on Spider-Man or something instead. That's it. Okay. Good enough. I think I killed enough time in the intro. I am going to get to the chat with Tyler. We are going to talk some Tony Hawk. Thanks again, you guys, so much for listening. Oh, yeah, I didn't mention it like I need to get into the habit of doing. We're on the Twitter, so please throw us a follow. We'll follow everybody back that follows us. You can find us at Member the Game, just like Remember the Game, but without the RE at the front. And you can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/memberthegame. Hook us up. Find us. Really appreciate it. That'd be rad. Thanks, guys. I think that's all the professional stuff that podcasters do. If you like the show, please leave us a good review on whatever format system thing you're using to listen to it. And please continue to tell a friend. I know a lot of you guys have been doing so. It means the world to me. Thank you guys so much. Let's get to the chat with Tyler, and let's talk a little Tony Hawk Pro Skater, you guys. Here we go. I don't know if there's a video game series from our generation that took more hours off people's lives than Tony Hawk.
Oh, absolutely.
Dude, like again, I'm not going to sit here and say like everyone played it, but if you played it, you're listening to this. And like, you skateboarded too, right?
I did, yeah.
Did you still skate, or are you getting too old now?
No, I'm too old. I dislocated my shoulder. Like I was skateboarding do you remember Avenue Skate Park? Anybody who's not from here is like,
I don't skate. No.
Oh, okay. There's a skate park by an old theater, and they had I took your brother there lots actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And they had this pool like this. I think it was like a 9-foot. They called it the Blood Bowl. But I would drop into there and I'd carve up that, and every time I wiped out, I'd dislocate my shoulder. And I was just like, I'm old. I don't want to do this anymore.
So that's what video games are for.
Yeah.
So because like I never skateboarded at all. I never really had any urge to skateboard. But these video games, man, like everybody skateboarded with these video games.
Oh, and this is like in the wintertime. So I didn't do a lot of snow. Like when this game probably came out when I was 14, something around there, right?
Yeah.
And in the wintertime, like you're really at that age, you're not like, all right, let's go to the mountains and go snowboarding, because in Canada there's 2 seasons. There's wintertime and then 2 months of summer.
2 months of summer.
So if you didn't have a car, you couldn't go to the mountains to snowboard whenever you wanted. You had to wait for the trip to come up, or for your parents to take you or whatever, or take the bus, but not from Morinville.
Yeah.
So playing Tony Hawk in the winter was like, that's how you got your fix
Yeah.
for skateboarding.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
got you jacked. And then as soon as the snow melted, it was like you played Tony Hawk in the morning and then you ripped out on your board.
I really feel like Tony, I mean, because you mentioned, you and I were talking about it before we got onto this thing, like you never played the original Tony Hawk. You
No.
started with Tony Hawk 2.
Yeah.
I was the same way. I don't remember ever playing the original one. I bought a PlayStation 1 with my own money when I was like 14 or 15. I saved up my money. I bought a PlayStation 1, and I couldn't afford any games with it. When I bought it, I spent every penny I had on the console, but it came with a demo disc, and the demo disc had a level in Tony Hawk 2 on it.
Yeah.
And I
it
played
was
that
the first level, I think.
Yeah, I think so. But I played that demo like over and over and over. And I'll tell you, man, and like you guys know, you're listening to it, like the Tony Hawk games were just like, especially in their era, because I know that like some of the later ones kind of got shit on by people. I stopped playing them after Underground, I think. But
Underground was the one I was talking about earlier with Bam Margera, and you're in Hollywood, right?
that's right. Yeah.
I liked that one. That was the last one I liked.
Yeah, but like in the early days, like 2, 3, and 4 in particular.
Yeah, that's where you pick a level, you just teleport there, you start your run.
Yeah.
And then there's a bunch of not power ups, but like you get the skate.
They had like goals, right? They had like objectives. Yeah. And they were just like, it was I don't know what it was. It was the perfect combination of skateboarding suddenly becoming uber relevant in society. Because I mean, skateboarding's been around forever, but it just really blew up.
Yeah.
In like the late 90s, early 2000s, like when I was in high school. Like,
Yeah,
it blew up.
And it always had like kind of a point where it was at its peak, and then a recession, and like you had the Zephyr Squad, and they really made it like edgy and cool,
Sure.
right? But before that, like skateboarding was a kid's toy, and it wasn't seen as really cool.
Yeah.
And then they kind of took it to a lifestyle, right?
Like, and it was like, and I really think the Tony Hawk games are just a perfect combination of skateboarding becoming huge, and I think that the Tony Hawk games played a role in skateboarding being as big as it did.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They were phenomenally done games. Like there's sincere quality in those games.
Well, and even like going back, I could go back and play Tony Hawk 2, and I would have fun. It wouldn't, like, the graphics being dated wouldn't bother me, because still you can tell what every object is. The skill is there. Like the game mechanics are smooth. Like the whole thing is just smoothly controlled.
To me, that's the absolute highest thing about those games is just how and I haven't played one in 15 years since my original Xbox. I haven't played a Tony Hawk game, but like the controls were perfect. They were so tight.
And right out the gate. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't have to change too
Yeah.
much. And the game got more and more ridiculous. Like, all of a sudden,
Absolutely.
you're skating up the side of a skyscraper.
Yeah, absolutely,
and then
yeah.
dropping into downtown Anaheim. And
Yeah,
you're going,
yeah.
what the
But it was like part of the appeal to these games is to me is the controls are so tight, but yet they still like, and it's not the same as real skateboarding, but like they really do, they really do pay off. Like the more practice you put in, the better you get.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you could, not anybody, if you've never played a video game in your life, you're not going to pick up a controller and be able to play Tony
You're
Hawk.
not going to sit there and, manual your way
No,
through the
but
level.
I think that like anyone with any sort of video game ability pretty quickly could pick up the basics of Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
But then they got so like, and I think that's part of the addictiveness of the gameplay was like the combos, right? It was to be able to do and like if you were really good, man, you were carrying these combos for like 3, 4, 5 minutes.
You could do the whole level sometimes.
Yeah, and you'd get into this like zone, and you'd be like, fuck, don't fuck this up, don't fuck this. And it was so intense, and like I felt like a real, like I can't skateboard, I can really stand on a fucking skateboard, but I was like, I would get so into this game because I was like, I got to do this trick, and then as you're in the air, putting in the combination to do whatever trick you want to do, you're thinking like, okay, as soon as I land, I got to go into this, or I got to grind this, or do, you know what I mean? Like,
And that's where like even the multi playthrough of a level would come into play, because you would like, oh, okay, I did the run like this, but I missed this, and then you like kind of have to reestablish your pre-plan, for what you're going to do for the level.
and that's one of the things I was going to say that I think that added to the addictiveness of these games was that like, I mean, they had, I don't remember how many levels they had, but they'd have like, 9 or 10 or whatever levels in them, and like you'd go into a level in the single player mode, and you'd have like I remember having like a sheet of paper with like all the different like, do a combo worth this, collect the skate letters, destroy all the bells or something, like there were all these little things.
Yeah, knock over all the
Sure,
barrels.
sure.
Something to if you grinded on the first one in the warehouse, I think if you grinded the wings,
Oh yeah, there was like a plane or something.
And then a helicopter would take off, and then there was like a part of the warehouse that would open up.
There was like an infinite number of ways to play the levels, right?
Yeah,
so like playing it solo would never get old, because like, and the best part was like as good as, because the music in those games was fucking rad too.
Yeah, the soundtracks were always great.
That's like, always rad.
That was one of the things that. So I had a teacher burn me a CD that had a whole bunch of punk music on it, and then listening to the Tony Hawk skate games really got me into like other avenues.
Me too. Yeah. And but like the cool thing about those games was like, as rad as the music was, if you ever did get sick of the music, you just throw your headphones on and listen to a CD or whatever you had going on.
I thought wasn't there a way later to like have
there like, and yeah, you could put your own custom stuff. Like on my original, I remember playing on my original Xbox, and like I put a bunch of music on my Xbox, and then I could play my playlist while I played Tony Hawk.
So that's what I like doing. I don't think you could do it in Tony Hawk 2.
Probably not on the original, because in the original PlayStation, I don't think you could even put, like, they didn't have a hard drive in it, right?
No, you could put a memory card in.
Yeah, but I don't know if you can.
I can't remember.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
We're old.
Yeah.
There's
but like, been systems and systems and systems since then.
But what was like, it was almost like, I would almost describe Tony Hawk as our generation's Minecraft. It was that game that you could just lose yourself in for hours and not really even accomplish anything.
No, nothing.
But just lose yourself in it for hours, just trying to, even once you finished all the different like objectives on levels and stuff like that, you're still looking for bigger combos, and just like, I would just put it on and like just put my music on or whatever, and just
get in the zone.
Just like for like hours, just escape and just play this and just see how long a combo I could do. Or
well, and like that's they captured the essence of skateboarding. Like they've made it into this big fantasy, right? Like, but that's the essence of skateboarding. You're trying to learn a new trick. You're practicing for hours. There's a lot more like,
right,
banged up shins and your palm is
you could do it without getting hurt, which was perfect.
But you get in that zone and you're just trying to, and then especially when you have a really good run at the park or something, and it's just flowing.
And then like, and I think it was in all of them, I don't remember, but like being able to create yourself was a huge pro to those games, because you create yourself. One of the comics,
I don't think you could in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. I can't remember.
I don't remember. I know a lot of them
I think in in 3 you could. I can't remember. Like it's one of those things. I know
they all blend together, right?
That's and by thing. Like Underground, you could pick clothes and your character.
My one of the guys here in Edmonton, Kevin, introduces me on shows as this guy looks like the generic base created character from Tony Hawk, because I've got like the long sleeve shirt and my backwards hat, and I'm like, thanks Kev, that's fucking nice. But that, like, to me, that added another thing to it, because like I can't skateboard at all, like I said, but you create yourself, and then like vicariously you could. It was just like playing a wrestling game, but you were skateboarding and you were doing these insane tricks, like you said, like grinding on like power lines, over building. Like if you fell, you wouldn't just scrape your knee, like you'd die. But it was so much fun to just do over and over and over again. And then like the fact, like they put all these like real skateboarders in, and honestly, like outside of like, I knew Tony Hawk, I knew Bam when he was in them. That was later. I don't even know if I could name another.
Bob Burnquist.
Oh yeah, Bob Burnquist. Yeah.
They had Tony Alva in later ones. I don't think they had any of the like old school guys in the early ones, but they had like Bob Burnquist and who else? I can't remember.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they cycled out so many.
Yeah, well, Tony Hawk was
he was the main guy.
He's the mecca, right?
Yeah.
And they tried it with other sports. Like I know they did Matt Hoffman's BMX.
Yeah.
And they did. There was a couple of inline skates. I inline skated. There was a couple of those, but none of them were nearly as good as the Tony Hawk series.
It flowed better, and it was the innovator. Usually when you have the innovator, that's the...
Yeah. And what's crazy about it is like, you really, like, they could have released those games with Tony Hawk's name on them, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater in that era, with skateboarding being as big as it was, and they could have like made shitty games and still sold them.
Oh yeah.
Like wrestling did that. There were so many bad wrestling games back in the day, and everyone bought them because... This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Everyone that listens to this podcast knows about our illustrious CEO, my dog Molly. But the other silent partner behind the scenes is my wife. And let me tell you, my friends, a 17-year relationship with another person that has to talk to and live with you is a lot harder to maintain than one with a dog. We've had our ups and downs, and as you all know, a relationship isn't all sunshine and rainbows. They can be a lot of work. You get out what you put in when it comes to relationships, and talking to a therapist can be a fantastic way to put in some work. They can help you work through your issues, learn to communicate better, and even just provide you with an ear to bend when you need it. I've talked to my therapist about my relationships, especially when it came to my stand-up comedy career and how much I was away from home, and they helped me work on ways to keep my relationships strong even when I was out on the road. It turned out our relationship was actually better when I was out on the road, but that's a story for another day. And I know, right? Therapy. Who has the time these days? BetterHelp hears you, and they're making it easy. Fill out a quick form online, and they'll match you up with a therapist that suits your needs and that'll work around your schedule. You pick the meet times, and you can get your therapy fix from anywhere over video, phone, or just chat. Become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. Visit BetterHelp.com/rememberthegame today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rememberthegame. Because it was wrestling,
Right.
And the only thing that might have been as big in the late '90s as pro wrestling was skateboarding. Like those two things were huge, but they didn't. Like they put so much time and effort into these games, and they were such great quality games.
And I think that's one of the things that took Tony Hawk to the level that it took his popularity.
Absolutely.
Because he did the 1080 and was a really big vert skater, but
Yeah.
he wasn't. I don't know. He was a great skater. I'm not gonna shit on him.
No.
He's actually a great skater.
But I would like to know how many people would know who he is without those video games, because I wouldn't.
Well, an example would be like Stacy Peralta, who put together the Bones Brigade, which Tony Hawk, that's where he got his start.
Okay.
Not everybody knows who he is, but he's like one of the he's one of the original Dogtown guys. He's one of like the quintessential, godfathers of skating. And
Yeah,
you wouldn't know who he is.
I have no idea.
And there's movies with him in it.
Yeah,
right.
Because it was these video games. Like these video games. I'm not kidding. I think that's the perfect comparison. That was our generation's Minecraft. Was Tony Hawk. Yeah. There wasn't like you could beat the game, but you couldn't. Yeah. You just play for hours, and then
you have a buddy come over and you play against him.
I was just gonna say that's not even like, and that's just the single player. Mm-hmm. Like the multiplayer, dude. Like I mean, like when you think of that era, like I think of GoldenEye, I think of the wrestling games, I think of like Mario Kart 64. And those types of things. But like one of the ones I forget about that I spent a ton of time with was Tony Hawk. Dude, Horse?
Yeah, that was the best.
Where you could make the word whatever you want.
Yeah. They would call it skate when you were skating, but horse, same.
Yeah.
That's the basketball version, isn't it?
Right, yeah. But like that's skate.
That game.
Where like one would do a combo and then the other one would have to beat it.
Yeah.
To get, oh God. And like you get two guys that are good at it, and then even if you weren't playing, it was enthralling to like people today make fun of kids for watching Minecraft and watching people play Minecraft, but I'm like the amount of hours I spent watching my buddies play Tony Hawk, I get it.
Oh yeah.
It was incredible.
So when you play that game in real life, you have to copy the trick. It's not like you have to beat their combo because that's not.
There's no
life.
scorekeeping.
Yeah, there's no real life like that.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So somebody would do a trick like right. I would play against my buddy Tyler Bailey. We'd go to the skate park and we'd play in that game. He knew I couldn't kickflip very well, so all he had to do was drop in and then kickflip.
Yeah.
Fucking asshole.
Yeah. Whereas if I'm not mistaken, in skate, it wasn't you had to do the exact same trick. You just had to get a bigger combo.
Yeah.
Because as soon as your combo broke, that was the end of your score, right?
Yeah.
And so like, dude, like what's it called is it manualing? When you're on just two wheels?
Yeah.
Dude, if you got good at that,
you were a god.
You were a god because you could just go forever, and it was all about your balancing and stuff.
Yeah, and I think in later games, I don't know, I can't remember in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, but in later games, if you were repetitive, they stopped.
You had to keep doing different tricks.
You had to keep it fresh because they would not take away points, but you would just stop.
That's
getting,
right. Yeah.
Boost in your points.
Right.
So if you got 10,000 the first time you did that trick, you were only getting like 5,000 the next time.
Yeah. So you had to keep switching it up, which was part of the fun, anyways. Mm-hmm. So, and I remember on the Create a Skater, you could give yourself like some stupid trick. Like I remember like because it was the 900, right, is the big one. But there was all these like, because do you remember in some of them they had like Spider-Man?
Yeah,
and stuff like that.
That was a secret character in or not an unlockable character in Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
And he they're all blending together. But didn't he have like a trick where he would like web his board back to him and stuff like that was so cool. Like
awesome.
And and it didn't come across as like tacked on or anything. That they would mix these like weird, because I think Iron Man was in one.
Yeah, and it wasn't in 2, but I was just gonna say I think you could get Iron Man 2, and he would like I can't remember. Fuck.
They're all the same. Like it's like I won't be doing another Tony Hawk episode. Like this will be all of the games.
Yeah,
where I'm using Tony Hawk 2. Yeah, like Tony Hawk 2 on Metacritic is still in the top 2 or 3 highest scored games ever, I believe.
Oh wow!
Like I'm almost positive. Like it's Ocarina of Time, it's Breath of the Wild, and it's Tony Hawk 2. I'm sure they're all there. And like there's a reason, like it's I think that a lot of the games we talk about on this podcast, especially from the Nintendo 64 PS1 era, like we look back on with rose-colored glasses and we're like, they're not really as good as they used to be. Tony Hawk is
absolutely.
as like you said, like you can look by the graphics, and like I've said many times, I've said it on this episode or this podcast many times. Graphics are by far the least important part of a video game to me.
Right.
You just make it fun.
But and that jump from the SNES, like the old school cartridge graphics, to PlayStation, that's where graphics started to become important to developers, right?
Right.
So then I feel like a lot of gameplay suffered
Right.
for the sake of graphics. And then the games that focused on gameplay and not necessarily graphics, like Tony Hawk, Crash Bandicoot would be one. Because you can go back and play Crash Bandicoot and it's fun, right? It holds up.
Yeah, I could get behind that. I wouldn't say it's fucking Tony Hawk.
No, I wouldn't. I would just...
Good.
They still had good gameplay, like smooth gameplay and a fun,
Yeah.
3-dimensional scroller game, I guess, or whatever you would call that.
I'm just bringing up the top scores on Metacritic now because I'm curious.
But Tony Hawk's one of those games that will stand the test of time compared to a lot of games on the PlayStation where graphics was the focus because they were like, look what we can do now.
Yeah.
Right? And you go back and you play a lot of SNES games and where graphics wasn't the focus, but the gameplay, the story, and
Just
it holds
fun.
up. Yeah.
Yeah, just
like I
fun.
could go back and play Link to the Past and you know.
Like they're talking about releasing a PS1. Well, they're not talking about it. There is a PS1 classic is coming out.
Oh, cool.
And I'm like, can you do that without Tony Hawk? Because they're not going to be analog controllers. They're just going to have they're not going to be, they're not going to have the joysticks. As far as I'm sure. And like, I mean, I don't know if you could get it anyways because of the licensing. You probably need the licensing agreement, but I'm like,
If I was Tony Hawk, I'd be like, I want $10 million.
$1 billion. Yeah. But like when I think of PlayStation, I'm like, that's probably the one game that if I could get a PlayStation in one game, it'd be one of the Tony Hawks. Like they're that like, and I'm just looking at it right now. So this is a little bit of an old article. So I think Breath of the Wild is up there now too. But this says Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time at number 1, 99 out of 100 average score.
Okay.
Number 2, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, 98 out of 100 average score.
Yeah, makes sense.
Build your own custom skate parks. Oh yeah, you could build your own skate parks. Oh, multiple play modes, including 1-player, career, free skate, as well as 2-player modes such as trick attack, graffiti tag, and horse.
Graffiti tag was
Graffiti tag was
fun.
rad.
Yeah, actually. And I never built a skate park. I
didn't either.
I didn't have time for that.
No, there was too many great levels in it anyways. You didn't fucking need them, man.
Well, and then my skate park would be like a half pipe and be like, oh, there you go.
And like, look at those like I'm just showing Tyler a picture. Like the graphics aren't that bad.
No, they hold up.
Yes, they're fine. Like he looks a little bit blocky, but who cares?
But you can tell what's going on. It's smooth controls. It's responsive. It feels great. The soundtrack's great.
I don't know when the game started going off the rails. Because like you say, I remember playing the first Underground game and liking it. Mm-hmm. And then the second one came out.
I think I still like the second one. I just, there was a point like right around there where I was like, oh, these are getting fucking dumb.
Yeah. They released one where you had to like stand on a skateboard, didn't you?
Yeah. And they had it. I think that's when I stopped liking them, when it stopped being like over the top and stopped being a focus on the tried and true control system, where they started being like trying to do. There was a point where I forget what it was called, but the Tony Hawk games where it was like you were doing more real tricks, and they wanted you to kind of like, move your feet a certain way on the board.
Right.
That was probably that game.
Yeah, I don't like that.
It was built for this,
like let it
custom controller.
Like I mean, like part of the love of them was just like the control. They were tight. Yeah, they were arcadey. Yeah. It was tight, but it was arcadey. Like you, like nobody is fucking coming off of a 5-story building into like a half pipe and being like, and then going into a manual out of it and being just fine. You know what I mean? Like or whatever.
Oh, you should see some modern skateboarders.
But no, but like I'm not, you're not. Like 99.9% of us aren't. But in this game, you were. Yeah. You're grinding on power lines over schools. Like like you could, like you said, there was like a helicopter and you could grind on an airplane and shit like that.
The helicopter's taking off. You hop on its propeller and you could grinding across it as it's
like that was part of the fun. And I feel like when they tried to get too realistic, it almost took away from the fun of it. You know what I mean? Like, do you remember I don't remember which one it was. There's going to be an awful lot of I don't remember in this episode, if you all know. Yeah. I don't care.
There's a lot. Well, there's lots to the games.
Yeah.
Right.
There was hit a point where you could get off the skateboard. Yeah. You could like run.
Yeah. That was in the Underground, I think.
Which I actually enjoyed. I thought that added to it. Because I guess that's one of the things I just remember too, is like at the old ones, it was like impossible to get off your board. Yeah. You could fall, but then by default, you'd get up and get back on your board.
Because I think in the old ones that, you're doing a level. So you were on like a timed run.
Yeah.
You had 5 minutes to do whatever you could.
Yeah.
I don't think you could add time to it. I can't remember if you could add time, like if you were land. So you had your special though. Like you could add time to your special bar, but I don't think you could add time to the actual run. Like you had a limited time in the level.
One of my favorite parts about these games, and I don't know if they were in all of them or not, but like in the career modes, you'd be in like skate competitions against all the other skaters. You could see all their scores, and you had to do. I thought that was like the coolest thing because it was so much fun to be like, you knew you had a great combo going, and you were like, I'm saving the backflip or whatever your like special, like your big trick is for the like. That was always my favorite part of these, like, but the solo part at least.
So I'd love to see a game. So like like Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah.
Where it's a free roaming world.
Yeah.
But a Tony Hawk game where you can go to online pro skate tournaments against like real time other people. There's a real time leaderboard.
Yeah.
There's whatever skate missions you can do and stuff.
That'd be awesome.
That's like a really good concept for a game to take the Tony Hawk and make it relevant.
Yeah, they haven't released a new skateboarding game. Did you ever play the skate games?
Well, a little bit. They were fun.
I heard they were good. They were a lot more simulation-y, I read. I never played any of them.
They were more down to earth.
They haven't released a new skateboarding game in a while.
No.
Seems crazy to me.
I think it's the ebbs and flows of skateboarding, though. Like
sure,
skateboarding
but like
hits peaks and then drops
But
off.
like every other, like, I mean, like there's football every year, hockey, basketball, baseball, wrestling, soccer. You know what I mean? Like most of the other sports get a big game every year.
I wonder if Tony Hawk was like, that's it. No
Maybe.
more.
I wonder if he hit a point where he's like, I don't care anymore. Just flipping through this article. And Breath of the Wild is on this list. It's 5 or 6. Number 9 is Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3.
Yeah.
So there's 2 of the Tony Hawk games from that era in the top 10.
And 3
highest
was
ranked
good,
Metacritic
too.
game.
3 was really
For
good.
sure they were. Like, and that was like one of the cool things about them. And I think that's one of the reasons they stood the test of time, at least for a while. I guess it's kind of argument because I argue that NHL comes out every year and NHL barely changes fucking anything.
No.
Whereas
they
Tony
had
Hawk,
like
they really did like. They tried to tweak them. They tried to make them better. And just the new levels alone would always make them worth playing again, just to go to a new location and skate.
Well, and what I like is they tried to tweak the levels. They wouldn't necessarily tweak the controls. Like the controls.
They knew the controls worked.
They were tight.
You don't have to fuck around with the controls. You just give us, like you said, give us more give some new levels, make them big, give us new challenges, stuff like that. That's all we need. You don't have to change anything else.
Add it so you can add your own playlist. Boom.
Yeah,
I'm sold.
You could basically like sell each version as like $60 DLC. Just buy a new copy or buy a new version of the game, and it's got 10 new levels in it.
Yeah.
And you're like, yep, done, no problem. That's fucking all I want. Just give me 10 more levels.
If Tony Hawk's listening, Tony Hawk Online, you have a whole business platform laid out for you right now in this episode.
That could be huge.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't
I
do
would
that.
get it.
Yeah, I would too, actually. This is one of like, I don't have a great deal of urge to go back and play these games from that era because I'm just skeptical of them. But this is the one that like sitting here talking right now, I'm like, dude, I would love to go downstairs and fire up like my PlayStation and just play Tony Hawk for a couple hours. Like, because I guarantee you, it would be like a bike. It'd be half an hour, and you'd be like, "Oh, I remember how to do all this." You know what I mean? And you'd be right back, and then it'd just be hours and hours of your life fucking gone. It's our Minecraft. It's way cooler than Minecraft.
Yeah,
and Minecraft is, and I like Minecraft.
You're mining. Oh,
I
was
do.
about to shit on it.
No,
but-
you can't. It's fine.
Oh, you're mining some shit. I'm on a fucking skateboard.
Yeah.
Jumping off a skyscraper. Eat it.
I like Minecraft, but yeah, Tony Hawk just. I can't think of another game that just stole like. I would love to know the collective amount of hours that game stole from people's lives.
Well, my whole winters. I had like winters of not
That's
doing
all you
anything.
did. You just sat inside and played. They were perfect.
Yeah. And it would get me like pumped for the spring, like so pumped.
Yeah, see, but it was still exciting. Just like they were just so much fun, and like, and every group had that one guy that was just better than everybody else, and you'd all watch him play and just be like, "Wow!"
Well, and we'd get that with so like another combo game would be like the Mortal Kombats, right? Like any kind of fighting game like that, where even though the skateboarding game is more you're moving around, right?
Yeah,
and the Mortal Kombats are side to side. It was always my buddy who was good at those games and pumping out the combos where all of us could fight.
Yeah.
But he would just like, oh, you just got a 2,000 combo. I hate you.
Yeah.
He was also the guy who could just combo Tony Hawk.
It was beautiful. There was an art form to it. So. All right, buddy.
He's a manager at Best Buy now.
So this is what happened to the kids that spend hours and hours and hours playing Tony Hawk. They run Best Buy or they sit in the spare bedroom of their house talking about old video games. Fuck yeah. So we'll say just Tony Hawk in general. Tony Hawk 2, if you can remember it in particular. Oh yeah, I just quickly wanted to ask, you played on PlayStation, right? There was a Nintendo 64 version, but I didn't know anyone that owned the Nintendo 64 version. That controller just didn't seem like it'd be nearly as good as the PlayStation 1 for playing it.
I think it would handle I played it on the PlayStation. I got a PlayStation for Final Fantasy 7. I think the other game I had on the PlayStation was
Tony Hawk.
Hawk.
The original, I mean, because like the PlayStation controller through 4 consoles has, outside of adding the dual analogs that didn't come on the original versions of it, has changed so little in 4 generations. And honestly, it's a top 3 video game controller design of all time. Like,
what's number 1? Switch?
No. Honestly, I think my favorite controller of all time is probably the Xbox 360.
Yeah,
that's just
the original one, the big one.
No, not the Xbox, the 360, the
360,
white ones.
Yeah.
I just think that's like it's the perfect controller. It's comfortable. It works for everything. I think the GameCube is a pretty awesome controller.
Yeah, actually, I like the game. My controller I have for my PC is modeled after the GameCube.
Nice. Yeah. That's a good. It's very comfortable.
Yeah.
But the PlayStation controller was just like, I remember when the first one came out, it seemed so full, right? Like you have 4 shoulder buttons plus the 2 joysticks and all this stuff.
Well, because you were coming off of. I think N64 was out already, right?
Yeah, but it only had the 2 shoulder buttons, though.
Well, and it was a weird controller.
Weird fucking controller.
And the PlayStation controller looked more like the Super Nintendo controller.
Yeah.
It was more like,
it was very comfortable.
This is what I'm used to. And then it was just like, okay, now I just got to get used to it.
It just seemed like a more practical controller for any of that kind of stuff than the 64 one would have been. So, okay, buddy, what would you give? Where would you give Tony Hawk 2 or just Tony? I guess Tony Hawk. But try to go Tony Hawk 2.
Tony Hawk 2, 9.8.
Yeah,
and just minus the 0.2 for all the wasted hours. I want back.
I'll literally give it the exact same thing. Yeah, for that exact same reason. I know it's not good at radio, but yeah, I agree with you. It was like, I just like that game just makes me like sitting here talking. Some of these games come on, and you're like, well, I liked this, but I didn't like this and this and this.
I loved everything.
Yeah, when I talk about Tony Hawk, I'm just like, all I can remember is like good times with my friends just playing Tony Hawk and for hours and hours and hours. And now I just want to go play Tony Hawk. Like,
I want to put Gorilla Radio on by Rage Against the Machine and play Tony Hawk. Yeah, that was the jam too. Put that on and just
When I think of, I can't remember. I think it was Tony Hawk 3. I can't remember which one of the ones, but the song I think of first when I think of Tony Hawk is TNT, because one of them that was like the intro song to it, and that's what I remember now. But God, what a great fucking series!
So
man.
how are you gonna do the intro music for this?
I'm not sure. I was singing that because I don't think I can. I don't know if I can take their music and put it on here. I probably can, but then if they ever
you can
hear
do
about
like
it,
a sample. You can do a short clip, but it would be way less than what normally.
I'm not sure. I'll figure that out because I honestly was thinking about that this morning. I was like, how the fuck am I going to edit this one? But we'll see. That's the only reason these podcasts aren't on Spotify is because part of the terms is that I can't have any music in them.
Oh, that's
and I'm tempted to do it anyways and just be like, well, I'll take them down. Because technically video game music is no different than like...
It's licensed.
Yeah. Like, and I'm taking it unlicensed, like without permission. But like everything I've read about it, sorry, this isn't gripping radio for anyone or podcasting, but like most of the stuff I've read about it says that like technically you need permission, but they're like, they don't...
Free advertisement.
Yeah, they're like, most people don't care, especially for like a little podcast like this. I'm not making any money off of. Nobody cares. Yeah. I might just put the Tony Hawk music in.
Do it.
Yeah, maybe I will. Fuck them. What are they going to do?
Put Gorilla Radio on and see if Tom Morello sues you.
Maybe I will. Maybe I will. Ah, what a great fucking series, buddy. This was just a fun episode.
Yeah.
This was what I wanted this podcast to be. Just be like, oh, remember this? Oh, remember this? And you could skateboard as fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah. And now, fuck.
I know. I just want to go play Tony Hawk now.
Yeah, I'm going to go see if I can get a PlayStation mod on my...
Yeah. Perfect. Thanks for doing this, buddy.
How low can you go? Death row? What a brother, no, once again, back is the incredible rhyme animal, the uncannibal D. Public enemy number 1, 546, freeze! And I got numb. Can I tell him never had a gun? But it's the wax that's the Terminator X1. Got me in a cell, cause my records they sell. Cause a brother like me said, well...
That will do it for this week's episode, everybody. Tyler, thank you so much for coming over again and talking Tony Hawk with me. You guys, thank you so much for listening and hopefully leaving us a good review and blah, blah, share. You guys, I say it every week. You guys know. Like I said, in 20 episodes, we crept up on 1,200 downloads, and I'm pretty proud of that. And this thing is going to get bigger and better. So thank all of you guys so much for your support. I really sincerely do appreciate it. Find us on Twitter at Member the Game. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Member the Game. And I'll be back next week with another episode for you guys. And in the meantime, it's the holidays. So go eat some good food, drink some drinks, and play some video games. It's too cold to go outside. What else are you going to do? Thank you very much, you guys. I'll talk to you again in 7 days. Take it easy.